spring sports award ceremonies at the high school that I was attending because my son was a participant in the spring sports. So I'm sorry I missed the appointments of the two chiefs, and I want to congratulate them and their family and the departments on that. And I'm sorry I missed that.
We had quite a crowd.
I'm sure you did have quite a crowd. And again, two good guys, and they'll do a good job for the town and for the community as a whole. The other thing, in relation to the sports awards things, you know, as I'm standing there and I'm watching this, and I see these hundreds of kids that are participating, that have participated in spring sports, it just drives home again the need for us to support public education. And I mean public education in its totality in relation to sports, music and arts programs, and that it is an integral part of our kids' education. And that's always what's on the chopping block here. And we have had, just tonight, again, hundreds of kids that were participating in spring sports. And I think it's so important that we continue the work that we really work so hard to achieve this past budget season to ensure that those programs are maintained in the public school system. And to the high school athletic programs, in particular tonight, we had a number of teams that have advanced to the state tournament categories. We have a number of individual students, and I won't name them because I'm sure I'll leave someone out, you know, that have achieved personal, individual state championship titles, and congratulations, and it's terrific. So I enjoyed it very much, and sorry I couldn't be with you, but I had more fun over there. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
You were just ducking the debate.
I was ducking the trash thing, and I didn't get away with it.
You didn't get away with it, did you? You waited.
Michael?
I had the pleasure of attending this morning the check presentation for the Bachelor School by the State Treasurer. It's a wonderful facility over there, and I'm happy that we're finally getting reimbursed. And I was actually very pleased that the Treasurer heaped a lot of praise upon the town for the fact that how we compare to other school districts in the state have been spending their money. And I thought that was very, very nice of him to tell us how fiscally responsible we are compared to some other towns and some other projects that people have heard of around the state. I also like to congratulate my father, Chief Harris, and Permanent Chief Harris now, and Permanent Chief Nolan on their appointments this evening, and I'm sure the two departments are thankful to finally have permanent chief officers, and look forward to working with both of them, and it's exciting that finally got to move forward with this after so long. And that's all for me.
Mr. Vino?
Yes, I just have one thing, Mr. Chair. I happened to notice on the computer the information we received on the Fiscal Advisory Committee. I just have a question. I mean, they have a very aggressive list there, which is good. But and I think I asked this before. Are they going to have a mission statement or anything?
Yes, I owe that mission
Oh,
statement.
okay.
Mr. Delaney's going to help me, and the two of us missed the
I
meeting tonight because we're here.
Because I think I'd like to see what that mission statement is. Okay, thank you.
Joe, you don't like blank checks?
No.
We know that,
Well, let's just leave it at that.
He would have taken the check today.
Okay, thank you,
really
Mr. Chair.
big.
That was all.
Okay,
That-
thank you.
that was all I
Thanks for reminding me.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it for that reason.
Mr. Delaney.
If I could, once again, I'd like to congratulate both Chief Nolan and Chief Harris as their appointments, the Chief of Police and Chief of Fire Department here in the town of North Reading. I look forward to having the opportunity to work directly with them. Also, as Steve had the opportunity to attend the Spring Sports Awards ceremony this evening, prior to coming here this evening, I attended the Public Schools Elementary Instrumental Concert. This is made up of about 25, 30 students throughout the elementary and the middle schools who parents had to pay for music lessons for these children. And it was quite an event. So unfortunately, I only spent probably half the time there that I should have, as my son was one of the participants, and it was just amazing to see these 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students pick up an instrument, have about 20 lessons, and put on this performance this evening. It was a pleasure, and it also goes to strike home again in that how important it is to adequately fund public education, not only education, but also the extracurricular activities, the sports, and the arts. It's very important that we continue that mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I too want to congratulate the appointments of our new police chief and Ed Nolan and Fire Chief Harris. And it's been a long and arduous process just to get to that point. And I think, not mentioned tonight, tremendous amount of credit goes to our town administrator.
Absolutely.
For working those difficult issues and to bring the assessment center into town, which I think has been widely accepted by not only the candidates for police and fire chief, but my sense is that the unions have even bought into the concept, so that we're not necessarily in the future tagged just to an examination. I think it was highly successful, and I know it took a lot of effort, because it's not something we could just do arbitrarily. We still had to go through civil service and that whole process. And I know what you went through to make it happen. And I think the board owes you a debt of gratitude for making that happen. Second is, I did attend the ceremonies at the Batchelder School this morning, along with town administrator and Mr. Harris and members of the school committee and the superintendent and the building
Mr.
committee
O'Leary,
and
myself, I was there too.
Mr. O'Leary and Mr. Cahill and
Catherine Craven.
Catherine Craven, who has been a great supporter of ours, and of course our state rep and senator were there too. I think that, first of all, the check that we received, it was a $5 million check, and it's a down payment on the state reimbursement for the Batchelder School, meaning there's some additional funds coming once the audit is complete. I also want to caution everybody that might be listening there that this $5 million just didn't come into the budget, and it's available to spend. Basically, it's payment for the override that we took on our own to recondition and rebuild the Batchelder School. That money will immediately be used to pay off bands, that, and this is temporary borrowing that we've been holding to the tune of about $7 million to pay that portion of the bands off that we received $5 million worth, which means that from a taxpayer point of view, there'll be that much less assessed to your tax bill in this coming year. So that, we are very grateful that the state has saw forth that the project deserved funding, even though we activated the project in the, what would you call it, the interim period between state funding.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's also important to note, too, that Catherine Craven took a walk through the high school today.
Yes, right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had forgotten about that. Which is good news, because that means that there's interest in the high school project that, clearly is something that is on the radar screen and needs to be addressed in the coming years. Lastly, I want to bring to the board's attention is something that I've brought up in the past, and we've kept putting it off, and now we're going to go forward with an off-site strategic planning meeting. Greg has been interviewing, and maybe you can comment. Did you have a meeting today or not?
Actually, it's tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. That's right, it's Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm thinking today is Wednesday. For a facilitator to come in and kind of lead us through a process so that we can put our ideas and thoughts looking out to the future. I've invited Representative Jones to come and perhaps spend a little time giving us a view of what's going on in the State House and, some of the things we should be looking at. And the idea would be to schedule that to our second meeting in July.
I believe that's the date we were looking at.
Right. It's not firmed up yet, but that's the target for that meeting.
And the venue will be somewhere here, or I don't know.
Off premises?
I was thinking of maybe doing it over, asking the Hillview to use their meeting room, and maybe it would start at 6, have dinner over there, and then proceed with the meeting.